We have clearly been lied to and not told the full story about why we are going to war with Iran. The story that we have been told is that we had to first bomb nuclear development sites because they don't even have a nuclear arsenal, but we had to bomb their nuclear sites multiple times, actually. And we had to do it because we wanted to stop the spread of nuclear weapons in the world. And on the face of it, that is true. Iran is the one nation in the world that does not have nuclear weapons that is actively pursuing the development of nuclear weapons. So, in terms of stopping the spread, they are the one country that is trying to spread weapons to places where they aren't at now. However, this misses two big important points. The first is that there are a number of countries that already have nuclear weapons, including the US, right? I'm going to show you a chart that shows the number of nuclear weapons in the world by country. As you can see, the US is a major player with about 40% of the world's nuclear arsenal. Russia being the only country that actually has more nuclear weapons. Together, the Russia and the US account for about 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. So we're far ahead of any other countries in the world. Now I'm going to show you data from this same source highlighting the other countries that aren't the US and Russia. And what you see in looking at this chart is that over the past 25 years, there are actually 5 countries that have increased the number of nuclear weapons that they have: India, Pakistan, Israel, China, and North Korea. Yet, we're focusing all this attention on the country that has 0 nuclear weapons and is trying to get to 1, whereas these other countries that have nuclear weapons and are increasing the number of them, we seem to be ignoring or letting go by. It's seemingly at odds and extremely hypocritical to focus so much on stopping one country from getting 1 when there are other countries that have gotten hundreds over like the same time span. Which leads me back to the point I started with. The reason we're going to war with Iran cannot be just about their pursuit of a nuclear weapon. Right? If we were really so concerned about nuclear weapons and their spread, we would also be concerned about these other countries that have actually developed and produced more of them in the past few years. Now, the US and Russia have decreased their number of nuclear weapons, as the first chart showed, right? Used to be way more, now is much less. However, as I said, and as the chart showed, we still have way more than the other countries in the world. Than the other countries in the world all put together, really. So, I think a better strategy for helping to stop the spread and proliferation of nuclear weapons is for us to further decrease the number of nuclear weapons that we have, right? And the idea that we generally hear for why we have nuclear weapons at all is the mutually assured destruction. That it's actually a measure to maintain peace, right? Peace through strength. That by having these very powerful weapons, we deter other countries from attacking us because they know if they attack us, then they got a whole bunch of trouble coming back at them, right? Kind of a fear-based strategy, right? And think back to Machiavelli asked, is it better to be loved or feared? The obvious answer is that it's better to be both loved and feared. One thing that I believe would help us be more widely loved is if we got rid of some of these world destruction type weapons that we have, right? If we reduced our own nuclear arsenal. And if we reduce our arsenal, it could help encourage other countries to do the same, right? The US and Russia, the two main nuclear superpowers, have had treaties before where they have both reduced the number of nuclear weapons that they've had together. It happened before, it can happen again in the future. And to the extent that it does happen, that sends a positive signal to the rest of the world to do the same, right? They don't have to build their own arsenal of weapons to potentially combat ours when we're doing more to reduce the size of our arsenal as well, right? And I feel like that would really be the leadership that inspires more love and care for the United States. Not just the walking around carrying the big stick, smacking somebody else that's trying to get weapons themselves, but at the same time, being progressive and taking the first step in reducing our weapons ourselves. Right? The other thing to point out here is that we have a lot of weapons beyond just the nuclear ones, right? So our strength as a country does not necessarily revolve around the number of nuclear weapons that we have, right? For the past 40 years or so, we've been decreasing the number of nuclear weapons. That does not mean that as a military force, our strength overall has decreased, right? We can still provide for the national defense without these nuclear weapons. And if we're reducing the number of our nuclear weapons and the other countries in the world are doing the same, then we are really providing for a better future for everyone, right? When we are seen in this better light, that can encourage more cooperation strategically, whether it be militarily, economically, or just even in how well we are thought of, how much we're loved, how much other people want to interact with us, how much they want to be a part of helping our success as opposed to working to undermine what we're doing. So I think we have to show real leadership when it comes to nuclear weapons. And I think that starts by unilaterally reducing some of the arsenal of nuclear weapons that we have. I feel like even if it were just one, doing it unilaterally would send the message to the rest of the world that, hey, we're not waiting for everyone else to reduce their number of weapons before we start doing it ourselves. And it would be a positive signal that we're doing it ourselves and we're ready to do it more. So why don't you come and join us and we can all be safer and live in a more peaceful world because of it. As the world sees this and react to this, we have more upside, more opportunities, more of a chance to really shape the world in a way that helps benefit us, right? We can still be the number one power in the world, economically and militarily, without the huge amount of nuclear weapons that we have. And we also don't have to start wars with countries that are trying to develop them because the countries won't be as inclined to develop them when we don't have the same stockpile of weapons that we do now. So I think this is a real opportunity for us to lead. It's a real opportunity for us to end a war that we didn't have to get into in the first place. And it's an opportunity to make for a more peaceful world now and into the future. But we got to be willing to take the first step. So, thank you. I love you and take care.